to water scarcity. You can find that story on page 11. And this other story that talks on Limbe municipality grows with Lula project and more on page 9. And we take you to World Water Day celebration that was commemorated some days back. It talks of dynamic C20 Southwest launches campaign on water supply across the region. From that paper, we take you to next door. The advocate, of Tabete and Enobika for this morning says Lula project's team lights up Limbe again. And in that said paper, at 2024 Open Door Day, so whether self-serves, you can find more on that publication of Tabete and Enobika on page 6. Taking you to the Far Hits Now sets up groundbreaking Yaoundé conference. You can find more on that paper. And British High Commission journalists dissect of fake news, new concept in the context of news reporting. Get to read details on that story for today. Mutation of Terry Diaga says when would they when would they, making reference to the three big men in the country. You have Masenya Fenji, Paul Biya, and Kavaige Jibril. Get to read more on this story on Mutation. Martinez Zogo affair on Mutation, page 5. The paper report on open military tribunal, as the paper is opining that the trial of the set corp accused should be broadcast on the various television network in the country. African Cup of Nations 2023. The paper reports on the revelation of Fabrice Ondwa. You get to read more on that set, gentleman, on that publication of Mutation for today. From Mutation, we take you to Yaoundé with Loju. Loju of Hamad talks of financial health. The paper reports of the Douala Port Authority. The call number, you can find more on that set paper for today. And the population opposes the construction of this timber engagement in the locality of Mpamayo in the central region of Cameroon. Electricity, the paper reports on Imperial persists with the elections, I beg your pardon. Elections, it talks of the inbreed that persists with the Union of Churches of Baptists in Cameroon. Get to read more on page 4 on that said paper. Brazil to Cameroon invests the sum of 21 billion CFA francs for extension of Hayaoun report on study how some 3 banks have been interested for the past years in promoting enterprises of Cameroonian extraction in the country. In that said paper, the paper report on this one of the African NADA and GMAC, who explores solutions and innovative means. You can find more on that economic newspaper of Quotidian Economy for today. Performances, a paper report on the performance rates of the Douala Port Authority as obtained by the notation of Bloomfield Investment. Get to read details on that story on page 7. Away from that, we cross over to Forum Libre. Forum Libre newspaper for today talks of the eminent cabinet reshuffle in the country. Says how ready is the government of Paul Biya towards that engagement. In that said paper, the new head office of the National Social Insurance Fund, say MPS, lightens up the capital city of Yaoundé. You can find details on Forum Libre newspaper for this morning. And in that set paper of Forum Libre, the paper reports on Chantal Kamiwa, who continues gaining more gaining more progress regarding all what she has been doing in the promotion of economic industry in the country. The FIAC 12 for this morning reports on the maritime transportation sector. It says the agency of Bloomfield salutes the health financial situation of the Douala Port Authority. You can find more on that paper of the FIAC 12 for this day. Stefan Duzio, the paper report of a shift of TTC of some 729 billion CFA francs from Brasson to Cameroon as the leader of the brewery industry in the Semak sub-region, and expanding her tentacles to across some other African countries. We take you now to the horizon. The horizon says to safeguard CPDM heritage, they risk it all for Santa. You have the big weeks of the CPDM political party there from the Santa sub-district of Mezam division of the Northwest region. Jeremy Jitap seek divorce over paternity deception from wife. You can find details on that former Indomitable Lions striker on that paper of the horizon. From the horizon, we move over to Ndian with Cameroon Echoes. Cameroon Echoes talks of Ndian joins one section conference party anniversary. CPDM militants guarantee support for BIA in 2025 presidentials. Get to read details on the paper of William Dibaye 12 for this morning. Barumbi Wa Batanga slated for April the 11th to the 13th of 2024 in the locality of Mondemba in Ndian division. We take you now to this lower member of lower legislature, Honorable Jume Peter Ambang, who gives some 2,000 kilograms of maize seeds to farmers in his constituency. Southwest Regional Delegate of Islamic Education donate foodstuff to and cash to Muslim widows. You can find details on that story of Cameroon Echoes of William Diba Etwe. From that paper, we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard from next door Nigeria have a latest story, and Delta leaders, stakeholders to federal government pull army out of Okwama others Delta Bayelsa communities. You can find that ultimatum given by the leaders of the Niger Delta area to the federal government of Tinubu. Manufacturers forex losses rises to 566% and to the sum of 792 billion naira. You can find details on that story for this morning. And on Monday's interview, the paper report in Benue, we had more ghost schools workers than real ones. You can find details on that story from the Benue state area of north central part of Nigeria. We will take you to this other story that says how 137 Kuraga school children teachers were rescued from their abductors who abducted them some days ago in school. You can find details on that story from Nigeria. We move over to the Punch. The Punch for this morning have as late story: Kaduna abduction. Federal government plans school safety corps as 137 pupils regain freedom from abductors. Get to read details on page 2. As entertainment news, it talks of fans mourn as Nollywood veteran actor Amechi Munago dies at 61. And in that said paper, the paper reports on federal government plans joint cable protection disruption in 6 countries in Africa following the Houthi rebels of Palestine who tampered with one of the submarine cables connecting the continent to the rest of the world. We move over to Palm Sunday celebrations. It talks of Gaza Christians seek peace Pope month as 137 Moscow victims. Get to read that story from Russia and the morning of Pope Francis on that sad story. Still on the pages of the Punch for today. And that's at the Punch. It talks of grieving family friends demand justice for slain Delta Cubs. Get to read details on that story from the south part of Nigeria. We take you to the sports paper for this morning. Punch Sports Extra for today says Chelsea keen on Victor Osimhen as Chelsea wants the Nigerian striker to leave Napoli for Chelsea the English Premier League team over there in England, Arnold to return against United. And in that said paper, Red Devils up against permanent Abatat deal. And we take you to something else. This time around, South Africa coach plot Falcons fall and Bassi out of Mali friendly. We wrap up with this one from Athletics. It talks of class act and it talks of long jump. Bruin reveals why she always win medals for Team Nigeria. Away from the sports story and the sports newspaper, we move over to municipal updates. Municipal updates of Victor Bamacham for this morning talks of upcoming presidential elections. Dian CPTM declares for Bia. In that said paper, Northwest CPTM calls for early presidential elections. And Boya Lion Tech Conference records resounding success at dual grandiose events. CPC Bali celebrates Diamond Jubilee Boba Fett 50th anniversary. Reports reveal tools agriculture major provider of new jobs according to this report that was conducted. You can find details on that on page 6 on municipal updates of Victor Cha of the process of ET, the paper report on Cameroon. Still in the situation of contradictory. You can find more on that set paper for today at the 39 celebrations of the CPDM political party in the Villa division. The paper report of celebration and resounding victory comes general elections 2025 for the ruling CPDM political party, according to militants of that said party of President Paul Biya. We move away from Integration newspaper. We crossed over to the next paper for this morning. That is EPV d'Afrique. EPV d'Afrique talks of at 39 edition of celebrations of the CPDM ruling party yesterday in the locality of Kekem in the West region. The paper report on Emmanuel Nussi, who comes out with conviviality for his party fellow congregants and militants of the CPDM political party over there in Kekem. Away from CPDM celebrations, viewers, we take you to this story from The Guardian. The Guardian for this morning talks of suspect appear in court accused of Moscow attack that left 100, and that paper of The Guardian is asking for today. And in that said paper, NSH Exodus as overseas nurses seek high paper, and Simon Harris become Ireland's youngest prime minister. We move away from that Irish elections that just ended, with Simon Harris being elected as the Ireland's youngest prime minister, to something else. We take you now to Metro. Metro for this morning talks of 14 billion British pounds on United Kingdom. You can find more on that paper of Metro for this day. In that said paper, Sydney could get a new habit. And we take you now to Issa Special. Get to read that story on page 17 to 20 on Metro for today. From Metro, we take you to the Times. The Times for this morning says Princess privacy and the pressure of being Kate. You can find details on how the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, is revealing her cancer disease to the public. You can find details on that paper. On page 9, we move over to Russell Group. Gets most of it fees from overseas. And away from that, viewers, let's move over to the Sun. The Sun for this morning says China hack attack on UK. It went further to say 40 million Brits voters hit MPs peers targeted. Away from that, we talk something else with government to punish cyber raids. You can find details on that said paper for this morning. And Debs would be so proud of Kate. You can find details on that story on page 9. We move over to, I think we are taking you now to the last publication. Let them win for this morning talks of the cyclists or athletes who hold on engaged in riding in a muddy and bomb boat across Cameroon. Presidential elections 2025. Mokolo, a locality in the far north region, the native town of the Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Manaona Malachi, says they are firmly behind the candidature of President Paul Biya comes 2025 presidential elections. Get to read details on Let Temwen newspaper for this morning. Viewers of High Television and of the program Press Brief, that is how we put a pause on the first segment of the program. We'll be back with our reviewer for the second part of the program. Yeah, just hang on with us. Once again, viewers, if you are just joining us, you are on to the second part of the program, Press Brief. And on this program, we focus on the various captions of national and international tabloids in the country and beyond the shores of Cameroon. You are welcome, and we have our reviewer here with us. Our reviewer for this morning is Lucas J. Good morning to you, Lucas, and you are heartily welcome.
Good morning, it's a pleasure.
All right, how have the recess been?
Well, it's been a wonderful period. It's been a wonderful time. Adequately spent with a lot of expectations, and we are hoping that things should move the way it is programmed after this period.
Okay, we move right on to business for the day. We start off with Mutation. Mutation for today says, what of Teresa says, what will you want of them? That is what you can find on Mutation for today, making reference to the three big gentlemen of the country. We have President Paul Biya, Kavege Jibril, and Nyat Masem Jifenji.
Yes, I want to speak directly on this for several reasons. One, you have concerning Paul Biya, Marcel Niad, and Kavayege Jibril.
Yeah.
These persons are employees of the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay.
They are not the bosses. So to Cameroonians who think that these persons are their bosses, I think it's because there is misappropriation of your rights, and most of us do not understand exactly who calls the shot in a democracy. I am saying that Biya, Marcel Niad, and Kavayege Jibril are persons who have been chosen by the party that dominates in the Republic of Cameroon as concerning political issues. And they are the ones in charge right now because they won the elections and it was decided within their party who should head what. So the interest to Cameroonians should be, are these people living up to task? Description of Kavayege Jibril. This is what we are interested at. Now, the expectations are very obvious. At this point, persons of this generation would not like to leave one another behind. And if you judge it from the way that their party has it, you will understand that they have made up their minds that this person should head these different institutions within the country. Now, what is most important is, are they living up to it? And this is where I say, the people of Cameroon still have the opportunity, if they find these persons not capable. The day of their result is usually the day of elections. Of course, the day of the result for Marcel Niad was decided a few days ago in the Senate. And the day of the result, likewise, of Kavayege Jibril was decided a few days ago in the Senate, where members of the same party voted him that he should be the person to pilot the affairs of the National Assembly. So, we can't change it right now because this is what pertains in the democracy. What is most important for Cameroonians to note is these persons are not their bosses. Contrary to what many have done to others, especially those who are involved in government affairs, they have made the people to see every action coming from the government to be a benevolent act. I want to say this. The government in place is simply a body that utilizes the resources, the